Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is MiAh the King, and today we're taking a look at a game that just came out earlier today called Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. Before I continue on with my script, however, if you hear a dog in the background, I apologize. It is my mother's dog, and she is obsessed with my mother, and every time my mother leaves, she goes bonkers. So if you hear her in the background, I do apologize. I'll try my best to keep that out. Now, this game is something different. I'm not going to tell you if it's good or bad just yet. You have to wait and watch the rest of the video first. But you know me, I keep these things relatively short because, let's face it, you guys have things to do and so do I. So let's try and keep this simple, shall we? Now, to start off, the game is $30. And remember what I said yesterday on that video, if the price is cheap then the game is cheap? Well, that doesn't necessarily apply here, but we'll get to that later. The game is, well, you play as a pilot. I don't really remember her name. I think it's only mentioned like maybe once or twice, and I was focusing on a lot of things at the time to remember her name. No, you can't create your own or customize her, at least not that I know of at this point in time in the game. The game is developed by and published by Double Damage Games. The reason why I bring that up is because one of the co-founders of this indie game company was also behind Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, and I love those games. Anyway, as this pilot, you are chasing down this guy who murdered your husband, and now while trying to find him, you're getting back in the game of space combat and space travel while trying to buff yourself, your ship, and eventually exact vengeance. Now that's the most I got out of this story, but you know what? That's more than I see from a lot of these games. Normally I don't like games like this. They always seem a bit too free, if you know what I mean. They just say, hey, here's a ship, now go out and have an adventure. But what they don't realize is that space is pretty frickin' vast. It's very easy to get lost or feel overwhelmed, especially if there isn't a detailed, simple tutorial to teach new players what the heck they're doing. So normally when I'm playing these space pilot free roam kind of games, they just really turn me off, and I'm not at all interested in going forward with them. This game did it differently, however, I'm pleased to say, and I actually enjoyed myself for the time frame I gave to myself to enjoy this game. So now we're going to go on to the good and the bad like I do in most of my videos, but before we do that, if you happen to enjoy this video or find it informative, I would really appreciate it if you could like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell too so you'll know when I put out new stuff. Also, you can follow my Twitter so you can stay up to date on my channel and what's going on. Also, I'm going to try and, thanks to a comment from an individual, sorry if I forgot your name, but my point-by-point numbers of good and bad might be a bit too simple and not detailed enough, or they might go by too quickly. It might be a bit confusing. So what I'm going to try to do is for each point I give up, I'm going to also try and give like a kind of example so you can kind of understand what I'm talking about. Hopefully that'll help, you know, everyone out there kind of understand a little bit more what I'm going on about. Alright? Thank you so much for the support and for clicking on my video. Now then, first things we're going to go up to is the positives. Number one, the game's graphics are actually really good. I wasn't expecting them to be this good, but I mean, look at this. They aren't like next-gen quality, but they're still really damn good for a game as expansive and as open-ended as this one is. Number two, the sound effects and the music and the voice acting. They're all on point. They sound perfect. They work well together and really help to immerse you deeply into this game. And yes, there is voice acting almost everywhere, and I love it. And the only reason why I say almost everywhere is basically because I haven't experienced everything yet, but so far, anytime anyone's talking, there's voice acting. And as for the sound effects, the shots of the lasers, the missiles, the explosions, the engines, the landing when you land in a hangar and when you take off, the ambiance style of sound effects when you enter a bar, they're all just really well done. And they, like I said, they really help to immerse you. Number three, the tutorial. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, then you know how much of a pet peeve this is for me. You got to have a good tutorial, or you're automatically getting a negative point from me. Now, while this game doesn't really have much of a tutorial, it does have enough of one to help you easily learn the mechanics of the game. In 40 minutes, I knew how to play, and even though it was a bit difficult, I did manage to figure it out, and I'm kind of simple, so you know if it worked for me, it'll work for you. So, no negative points for tutorials here. Number four, the game does have a main story that kind of directs you as you play, as I briefly mentioned earlier. It helps you go in the right direction, find side quests that are in the level range as you learn the game and slowly progress. But it also has a bunch of side activities and quests that you can do. It even has a lot of mini-games you can play that just give life to this life in the space lanes. I mean, there's 8-ball, there's, I think, darts, there's slots, there's dice, there might even be card games later on. You know, there's different side things involving like quests or just events. Like you can be traveling to one quest and suddenly, oh look, there's a distress call, let's go check it out. It could be a trap or it could be someone who needs help. Well, let's make a decision here. And then the side quests are pretty simple. Deliver this there, or kill this guy or explore here. You know, it's kind of basic stuff right there. But the fact that it has a lot of them and not too many that it floods your screen. Like, you don't go, hey, what's a side quest? And then you get 1,000. No, it's like, here's one, here's a level of difficulty for each one, and then here's the price you're going to get for completing it. And it's very simple, very nice, and very easy to get yourself into. Number 5, it has reputation gains and losses for different factions, which is really nice. It's kind of like Mount and Blade. If you take a quest for police to go and hunt down bandits, then that particular bandit group is obviously not going to like you. So the odds of you becoming, you know, a pirate with these guys is slim to none. And then if you help pirates raid a convoy, then the police and the local authorities are not going to like you. You kind of see what I'm getting at here? So it's really nice that it actually has something where your actions have consequences, and I really enjoy that. Number 6, there are tons of ships and customizations for ships, so you can truly create your own that feels right for you and your playstyle. It'll take a little while for you to really get into it, but eventually, thanks to the mechanics in this game, you eventually can have a ship that's all you. You can buy different types of ships, you can buy a plethora of different customizations from guns, armor, scanners, tractor beams. The list goes on, but it's also, once again, you're not being flooded with things. It's not like, here's 7,000 different types of armor, pick the best one for your playstyle. No, it's like, hey, here's 7, right? 7 is way better than 7,000. Not too complicated, but complicated enough that you can actually customize your own and get your own feel of things. And, you know, that's appreciated. Number 7. There were no bugs or glitches, not even any frame rate drops that I could see, and the transition to playing a new game is quite easy as well, so even if this isn't something you normally play, I think you could get into it. And here's my proof. Normally, I hate games like this, as I mentioned earlier. I can't stand them. But I was enjoying myself, and finding myself wanting to go back and get some time invested into making my character and my ship better, and really delving deeper into this universe and learning more about it and just kind of progressing. I actually really enjoyed myself, so I'm a person who normally can't stand games like this, and I was enjoying it. So if you normally can't stand games like this, you might actually find yourself enjoying it like I am. But now we got to go on to the negatives of this game. I don't really have a lot, and they're mostly minor things, but still, I got to give something. So, for number 1, even though the game does have a tutorial, it's very small and only describes a few things. Most of the learning here has to be done by you and not the game teaching you. I mean, I died several times at first, and that was because the game, well, doesn't have much of a tutorial. I mean, it's kind of like, this button gets you here, this button gets you there, this button does this, have fun. But, you know, they only describe you like what 6 buttons do, but you've got 9. So it's like, well, hang on, what do those other 3 buttons do? And nowhere in the game does it tell me. So I'm, like, one of them seemed to be switching my guns around. I don't really know what that does, because it didn't have any immediate effect on my gameplay or a change in my guns at all, but it was, see what I'm saying? It's weird. Like, I don't know, because it didn't tell me. So, you know, maybe the devs could add a little patch that just kind of adds a little bit more of a tutorial that actually teaches you what each button does and how to kind of integrate yourself with this new style. Number 2, the user interface, the UI. It's almost non-existent. When you're in your ship flying around, you just have to remember what buttons do what on your keyboard. And since the game doesn't really tell you what buttons do what or why in the tutorial, you're going to find yourself hitting a button over and over again, wondering if it's actually doing something, and then nothing telling you if it's actually did anything or not. So it's a bit annoying. I mean, you get the buttons that the tutorial tells you, and that's enough for you to play the game, but if you're trying to actually learn, you kind of want to know what everything does, which the game doesn't teach you, show you, or help you in any way. So that's a little bit annoying. That's probably the biggest negative I have so far. And then number 3, I mean, the game seems a bit, I don't know, slow maybe. It's hard to explain, but everything felt like it was taking its time. You know, this is just a really minor, but I mean, the thing is, heading from mission to mission felt slow, conversations felt slow, the loading felt slow. Overall, just everything just kind of felt a bit slow and not very explosive. You know what I mean? Like, not very detailed or intimate or amazing. You know, everything just felt kind of, you know, based on the small things like loading and transitions, it all kind of felt a little lazy almost, if that makes any sense. But I know it's not lazy. Like I said, this is just a minor thing. It might, you know, it might all just be in my head, but it just, everything did feel a little bit slow, except when you're actually in combat, and then the game like picks up speed really freaking fast, and so it's a transition of going from slow and calming down to holy crap, missiles everywhere, explosions everywhere, what do I do? I don't know, that might just be a pacing thing, and it also might be in my head. I don't know, like I said, it's very minor, and it might just be a personal preference of mine, but there you go, I put it out there. But besides those 3 negatives that I mentioned above, I can't really think of anything else negative to talk about here. So I guess we'll go on to my final conclusions of the game. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there waiting for the next Star Citizen game, and while I've never been a fan, and I've never played Star Citizen, and literally know nothing about it, I think this is a pretty good substitute. I really enjoyed this game, and normally I don't enjoy games like this. I think it's pretty darn good. I mean, you can be a pirate, a trader, an explorer, an aide for the law enforcement, or you could just focus on your main mission, your main story, and do whatever you want. But the main point I want to get across is this. The game is $30, and it's offering this level of freedom, customization, fun, immersion, graphics, and overall gameplay. At first I was thinking it just wouldn't be for me, but wow. I'm stunned by this game because it's the first time a space pilot game in an open universe has drawn me in and wanted me to keep playing. And made me want to keep playing, if that made any sense. And that's exactly what I want to do. I want to keep playing. I want to go back in. I want to play some more. And I normally can't stand games like this. That should tell you something. Now, I don't know much about this type of game or this genre of game, so I can't really give it my usual unofficial rating, but based on how much fun I was having and how immersed I was and how easily it was to get me there, I mean, off the top of my head, I'd give this game an 8 out of 10. I mean, I really enjoyed myself. And hell, after this video is done, I'm going to jump right back in so I can play some more. I will not be getting a refund for this one. So, to be blunt, I enjoyed it. I think it's worth the money. So, for those of you out there who were looking at it, but you weren't sure if it was going to be any good, I really liked it, and I recommend buying it. For those of you who don't normally like this style of game, I recommend you try it as well. I mean, at least for those first 2 hours. Because if someone like me can like it, then someone like you can like it. And I think you should buy it and try it out. I'm going to give this game my recommendation. Go play it, try it out. It looks really fun. It feels really fun, and I enjoyed myself. I don't know how many times I've said that, but it's true. I guess I keep saying it because I'm a little amazed by how much I enjoyed the game. But that's all the time I got for this one, everybody. I hope you found this video enjoyable or at least informative. And if you have any questions or concern about the game, please let me know either on Twitter or on my comments page. Either way, I'm happy to help. I'm always happy to give more information. Sometimes I leave things out. Sometimes I miss things. For that, I apologize. But if your question wasn't answered, if you have a concern or something, please let me know in the comments. I will respond as soon as possible. I try my best to respond to every single comment that everyone makes, whether it's just a compliment, an insult, a question, or just a bump. Doesn't matter. I try to respond. So once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you guys all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you farewell.